Hi everyone, and welcome back to Converse with Kayla, where I talk about all things psychology, mental health, and wellness. Now, you guys won't believe what actually happened to me. Yesterday, I filmed this exact same video, and the mic was not recording the whole time because it was flat, and I didn't know that. And I recorded literally like 30 minutes of content, and I feel like in my heart of hearts, that was my best video so far on my channel, and now it's just gone to waste. Anyways, as you can see, the mic shows like a green light. That's apparently how you know that it's on. So yeah. But anyways, as you can see by the title, today I'll be talking about the Bpsych Equivalent course in psychology, and specifically the Bpsych Equivalent course that leads to a registration as a registered counselor. The reason why I'm talking about this course specifically is because I'll be doing that in 2023. And so I thought I'll just take you guys with me through my journey with this course and also offer it to my fellow psychology students who may not get into masters and may feel like that's the end of the road for them. Well, a Bpsych equivalent is an option for you to do if you do not get into masters and if you are sort of stuck with a honors degree. Now, another thing that I need to point out actually, so I'm just going to look at my notes here that I wrote down. So the Bpsych equivalent course is actually a 4-year professional qualification that leads to registration with the HPCSA, which is the Health Professions Council of South Africa, and that is the psychology board basically, where all the mental health professionals are registered under, and you have to follow certain like regulations and rules, and they tell you what is your scope of practice so that you do not do anything outside of that. So one thing I have to mention though is that you can do the Bpsych course from an undergrad level already. I unfortunately, okay, actually my story is that I was at MMU, right, and I did my undergrad there. And by the time that I went to do Bpsych equivalent or Bpsych, they phased out the program. So I couldn't do that. And then my next option was to do honors and academic honors. So I feel like even though I didn't get to do the Bpsych equivalent back then, or the Bpsych course at least, it kind of found me again in my later years. So in some way, I feel like I'm meant to do this course because that was literally like in 2018, 2019, and 2020 when I did my undergrad. And it's now 2023 and I'm doing the course. So I just feel like it had to find me in any case. So the thing is, I am going to link down below in the description a website that is founded by this guy named Dylan, I think, Cognition and Co. If you are a psychology student, please do consider going onto the website Cognition and Co, checking out everything that they have there. It's very helpful, and they have a list of like all the universities that offer master's programs, Bpsych equivalent programs, Bpsych programs, anything that you can imagine. And they have like the application dates, the closing dates, and then there's also a link that you can click on that takes you directly to the university's website where this course is being promoted, if I can say. And then you can go there and check all the requirements that you need, and you'll find all the documents there as well that you need to fill in for that specific course. So I will link that down below because I thought of talking about all the institutions that offer Bpsych equivalent courses, but it's a lot, and I'm sure you can just go and check it out yourself because there is the Bpsych equivalent. There are two qualifications that fall under the Bpsych equivalent. That is the registered counselor's course that I'm going to be talking about now today. And then there's the psychometry course, which is a different route completely. And for the sake of this video, I'm just going to stick to a registered counselor. And I think I'll make a separate video talking about the psychometrist. Because like I said, I am trying to promote other fields of study There are not necessary master's programs, but are things that you can do in the meantime to build up experience, and you can actually work as a professional in the field while waiting to reapply for masters if you didn't get in the first time. And also, getting in the first time, like, it's really rare. So if you don't get in the first time, do not be disheartened. I know that it's like, it feels like the end of the world and everything. Trust me, I've been there. But there are other options, and you just need to explore them and see where it can take you. Because I personally believe that I'm just really gonna see where being a registered counselor takes me, and I might just enjoy it, and I might just do that for the rest of my life. Who knows? But yeah, there are other options. Do not be discouraged. And yeah. So another important thing is that these are professional programs, right? And they cannot be done via distance learning or what's the other word? Sorry, part time. So you have to be there physically to do the course, because they both, being a psychometrist and a research counselor, they both have practical elements to the course that require your presence at the institution. So I think also I'll start off by saying or talking about what is a registered counselor, because I feel like most people do not know that there's actually a difference between a registered counselor and a psychologist. Again, in another video, I will make um, a video talking about the difference between a registered counselor and a psychologist. In my mind, there's only like really one big major difference, but yeah, I'll get into that at a later stage. So I'm also gonna link down below a um, like a document from the HPCSA, which talks about what is a registered counselor, what is their scope, what are they allowed to do, what are they not allowed to do. It's a really big document, which is why I didn't want to just read through it because we will be here all day, but I will just link it down below. But I'm gonna read this little section that talks about what is a registered counselor, so that you can sort of get a feel for what the registered counselor's work entails. So I'm going to read it right now. So the role of a registered counselor is to extend psychological services and make them accessible to the diverse population of South Africa. A registered counselor conducts psychological and preventative interventions that focus on the promotion and enhancement of psychosocial well-being for families, individuals, groups, and communities. So I want to talk a bit about that, and I want to say that if you want to understand a registered counselor in the simplest way possible, think of it as a registered counselor is sort of like the first aider of mental health. So they, like, in simple terms, ensure that a person's symptoms of whatever they are experiencing does not reach such a degree in which they will need intense psychological intervention. So basically, they ensure that the person's symptoms are alleviated so that they do not have to go and see a psychologist. And a registered counselor performs a lot of other extra things, such as psychoeducation, which means that they go out, perform workshops, or do seminars to promote mental health and make mental health more accessible, especially to under resourced communities. And I personally come from a colored community in which I've experienced or at least witnessed a lot of abuse, GBV, and violence, etc., and substance abuse. And so I've really done a lot of self reflection, as I've said in my previous video, about where I see myself in the mental health field and where I see myself working and what kind of people I want to work with and communities I want to work with. And if you are someone that is very passionate about working and giving back to your community in a sense, or any community for that matter. It doesn't have to be your own community, but wherever you see a need in terms of mental health, I highly suggest that you look into being a registered counselor, because I personally believe that registered counselors play a very important role in the mental health field, and they fill a very important gap in mental health as well. So do look into that if you are passionate about that. And then another thing is that registered counselors differ from other categories of psychology in that they are psychological practitioners who perform psychological screening, basic assessments, and psychological interventions that are aimed at enhancing personal functioning of individuals. So that's another thing. Um, okay, so let me just say the main difference between a psychologist and a registered counselor off the bat. I will make a separate video talking about it more in depth. But the main difference is that a registered counselor cannot diagnose a patient, or actually, we don't like saying patient, we say client. So, a registered counselor cannot diagnose someone with a mental disorder. They, if they have a client and the client is displaying signs of having something more severe than just, let's say, anxiety, maybe they are displaying signs of anxiety disorder. And the thing is, they know of it because they study it, but they're not allowed to diagnose. When they do realize that someone is displaying symptoms that are more severe than what they can handle or that's in their scope of practice, then they have to refer that client to a psychologist. That's basically the main difference. They also are allowed to do psychometric tests with clients, but this scope is way more limited than a psychologist. So they, again, in the HPCSA booklet, I will link down below. You can read about all the psychological interventions or psychometric tests, sorry, that registered counselors can perform as opposed to a psychologist. So it's a bit more limited. But nonetheless, you do get experience in it and is a very valuable tool. Once I met up with this counseling psychologist and he told me about um, how psychometric tests or at least a career assessment is the most important thing you can ever do for an adolescent. Because a lot of people get frustrated by what they do in their jobs. Maybe they don't like their jobs. Maybe at some point it becomes not as fulfilling as they thought it would be. So, to help someone to find their passion in life and find what they truly are meant to do, I feel like that's really something that can make you feel really warm inside, and it's very fulfilling to help someone to reach that goal and passion in life. Anyways, so the next thing I want to talk about is the process of getting into a Bpsych equivalent course. And I'm just going to talk about my personal experience because I went to the CAP selection week. So I did my honors at CAP as well. And so I applied for Bpsych Equivalent there as well, and also at Cornerstone. So there are limited institutions in South Africa who do offer the Bpsych Equivalent course that leads to the registration as a registered counselor. But again, you can check on the Cognition & Co website which places do offer it. And like I said, I don't know if the selection process is the same for every single institution, but I'll just speak about my own experience. So obviously the first step is that there is a paper application. So obviously, maybe most of you will know already, you go onto the website of the institution and you go to the specific course, and on there or underneath the course it will give you the forms that you need to fill in to apply for the course. So usually there's two forms. The one will be about just your information, biographical information. I'm not going to give too much details also within this as I'm speaking about this process because I don't know if I'm allowed to speak about it as in depth. So I'm just going to give like a brief overview. So then you will fill in information about yourself, your education history, and so forth. And then there will be questions about why you want to be in this course, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, your typical questions like that. Where do you see yourself in this field? If you do get in, where do you see yourself working in the future, etc. Give a motivation. That's what I'm going to say. But that's pretty simple and pretty straightforward to do. Then there will be a second form, which is your reference form. So your references are usually people who know you really well and can speak about your abilities and know you as a person, as well as knowing what you're good at and what you're not so good at. So people can be really honest about that. And Disclaimer: your family, your friends, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your mother, your father, whoever, they cannot be your references. Your application will be rejected and will be unsuccessful. So don't even try and add your family or friends as your references. I mean, in a real and in an idealistic world, we'd all like to have our family members or friends as references because we think that they know us best, etc., etc. But I think the main reason why they don't allow that is because obviously friends and family could be very biased and only speak to your good attributes and not so much your bad. Because I mean, everyone has. Let me just making sure this thing is on. It is on. Everyone's not. No one's perfect, and everyone has flaws and weaknesses that they have to work on, and they want you to acknowledge that and know that that exists, and also talk about how you're working on that. So don't try and be this perfect person. Go there as yourself in your full being, and it will really work to your advantage. The next thing is that you will then be invited, either invited or not invited, to the selection week, which is a whole week of activities that take place for the panel members, usually to assess whether you will be trainable for this course and just to see your personality, how you work with other people, how you work in a group, and just to find out more about you as a person. So first of all, we I got there. It was like from a Monday to a Friday, the selection week, and then the first thing they did is sort of give us a orientation session and introduce the panel members and talked about what lies ahead in the week and what we can expect. A very welcoming space, very supportive people. SACAP is I am rooting for SACAP because I'm from there, but I'm not just saying that because I'm from there. I'm saying that because it genuinely it genuinely is a really nice institution to be part of, and I found so many people that I really connected with, and I love meeting new people. And so, yeah, that was a really awesome experience. And the selection week itself was really nice to meet people who have sort of the same goal and passion in life as you. And everyone's so nervous, but everyone's just also so excited to be there with each other and meet new people. So then, off the bat, the first activity was a group activity. So I'm not going to go into much detail as I said before, but it was activity in which we got a topic and we had to discuss it amongst ourselves. And I think we were about maybe 8 or 10 people in the group. So of course I'm not going to go into much detail. I'm rather going to focus on giving tips of being in each activity and what you can expect and what you should look out for and what you should aim to be doing. So in a group activity, it's usually very overwhelming, and I get that because you are in a group with these people who you genuinely do not know very well. Maybe you'll know someone, but half the time it'll be complete strangers. So it can be very overwhelming because you don't know these people. And as we all know, in group activities, there can be someone who's really, really dominating, and then there's the other person who's like very quiet and very reserved. Both of those things is something you should not try and be. Do not be a leader. Do not try and dominate the group activity. And also, do not be too quiet and too reserved and say nothing. You need to, this is what you need to do. First of all, you need to be able to listen to other people in the group. Listen, take in information, and try and add onto what they are saying. If you do not agree with that person, it's okay to say that, but at least substantiate what you are saying with something valid. Do not just say, oh, I don't agree with you. If you do agree, like, you know, also again add to that. So build on what other people are saying, listen attentively to what they're saying. And do not just speak and say things for the sake of saying things. And whenever you contribute something, because there's a limited time, right? And everyone wants to say something, but when you say something, make sure it's meaningful and it adds to the topic. Again, on that point, make sure that you stay on topic. If the topic says you need to discuss this and give a solution for this, make sure that you are doing that. It can be so you can easily get sidetracked and go off on a tangent, but try to stay on the path and try to stay on what they are asking you to do. because I feel like that's what they're testing as well. If you can answer and be clear and concise with what you are saying and not drift off into something different, completely different. And then also be very creative. Be creative with your answers. Think outside of the box. Think very, very creatively. Be innovative and add new, fresh ideas every single time. And yeah, have fun with it at the end of the day. Like, it's such a cool space to be in. Like I said, it can be intimidating as well because there are people that are going to be watching you and are going to be assessing you. Each individual person will be assessed according to, I don't know what criteria. I'm not sure. I have not seen it before, but make sure that you have fun with it. And you are lucky if you're in a group where the conversation is just flowing freely and everyone's just adding and just giving their 2 cents, and then it feels like time flies by because everyone's just giving the unique contribution. And the thing is, with these groups, there isn't a time to be like, you don't put up your hand and answer. You literally just speak any single time. So if someone else is talking, make sure that you like gauge who else wants to go next so that you don't talk over another person or whatever. But yeah, just have fun with it. And then we had a break, and then we had a second activity, which was so chilled actually. I found it to be really fun and easygoing, not too much pressure. So basically, this group was 4 people only, so it was definitely smaller than the first group. And then we were 4 people, and we sort of had to talk about our day so far and how was the first group activity. So this is kind of a free reign type of activity, and you could really ask anything you wanted. So basically, there were 4 people. This person asked this person questions. They had a limited of time to talk. When their time was up, the person who got asked questions had to ask this person questions, and so it went until each one had a turn to answer and ask questions. So I think what stood out for me personally, what I did differently to the other people, because I was number 3. So I kind of I gauged what the first pair did, and I was like, okay, cool. So what I kind of did was I took a step back. So everyone just went for like, hey, how are you today? How was the group activity? I sort of went a step back and I asked the lady that I had to ask questions to, I asked her like, how was your trip to wake up this morning? Like, was it stressful? Was there any traffic? Kind of took it a step back and, made it about them. Because I think in this activity, they were really looking for how well you can listen to another person and how well you can hold on what they are saying so that it's about them and not about you. So that's, like I said, think about what they're asking you, stay on that, but also try and be creative with it and try and go a step further than what other people are doing. So I think that's what stood out for me. That was the end of day 1. Day 2 was then an individual interview, which was online. And the only reason why they did it online was because a lot of people came from other places, and so they wanted to accommodate everyone so that people don't have to drive back and forth to SACAP and probably inconvenience some people who are not from Cape Town itself. So the individual interview was done by 2 people, and again, they're not trying to catch you out with these questions. They're not trying to ask you things that they know you don't know. They're basically just trying to find out who you are, what your personality is, why you decided to do this course in the first place. What do you think you can add or contribute to this field in the future? Where do you see yourself working? Very similar questions to what they ask in the paper application. So it can be very anxiety provoking. We all know interviews can be, but just be yourself, like I said, and just put your best foot forward. Answer the questions as straightforward as you can, and do not go off on a tangent. Try and just stick to the question, and yeah, and then they'll let you know if you need to add a bit more to the answer or something, but just try and keep it clear and concise, and you'll be good. At the end of day 2, there was all the nerves started coming up, creeping up, because at the end of day 2, at around 7 or 8 in the evening, they said they would let us know whether we made it to the final round. And the final round was a panel interview. So my interview was around like 11, my individual interview. And so I had to wait all that time to wait and see what the outcome was. So I tried to keep myself as busy as possible and go to the gym, make food, and just do anything else just to not think about what was coming. So the time came, and a friend of mine who we did the selection week together, and so we were like messaging each other back and forth, like, "Did you get an email yet? What did it say?" etc. etc. So that was really fun, and like I said, it was really fun to be part of the selection week with her because she just made it a bit more bearable. And she got her email and she didn't get in, unfortunately. But like I said, I was super grateful to be part of the process with her, and yeah, and we shared a lot of good times together. And then I got my email, and I didn't read anything. I just clicked in it, and I just saw this one sentence: "Your panel interview is scheduled for," and I was like, I couldn't believe it. I literally screamed, and my boyfriend was like, "What's happening?" And I'm like, "I made it." But I didn't make it yet at this point. But I mean, I felt so good. And if you've seen in my previous videos about my master's experience, after all that rejections, that's exactly what I needed. I needed that boost of like someone sees something in me, they see potential in me. And funny enough, my interview was scheduled for the next day at like 7 a.m. 7 a.m. So I was like, child, I need to put my best foot forward because wow. And then that's what I did. I went and got a good night's rest. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like prepare for it in any sense or anything. I did, however, watch a few YouTube videos about panel interviews because obviously panel interviews are a bit more, what's the word? A bit more nerve wracking than individual interviews because it's like 5 or 6 people that was on the panel and they all asking you questions and you're like, should I make eye contact with everyone, or it's like all over the place. But I decided to, whenever a person asked me a question, I would look at them in the eye and answer as thoroughly as I can, and then do the same with the others. So yeah, it can be a bit nerve-wracking, and we were sitting super close to the panel, like they were sitting over here on this side, and then I was sitting very close to them. I was like, I can feel them breathing on me. So it was a bit nerve-wracking. I'm not gonna lie, I was sweating. And one thing about me, I get really red in my face when I'm nervous. So it's very apparent that I'm going through something. But anyways, again, no questions were asked that were to catch you out or anything. It was just some questions were repeated from like the individual interview. So yeah, all in all, it was a really nice process. And if you are looking into going into Bpsych Equivalent, um, I will make a more detailed video about tips and tricks and so forth. If anyone wants that, please let me know in the comments. I don't know. But yeah, I'm super excited for this year and what it has to offer me, and I can't wait to be finally entering a professional qualification where I can actually work in the mental health field. Feel like I've been waiting like for this forever. So yeah, basically, I want to end off by saying all psychology students are really strong people. They are the strongest people I've ever met. And we have a lot of grit and we have a lot of determination. And I would like to salute everyone that is in psychology, doing psychology, wherever you are in your journey, whether you first year, second year, third year, post grad, whether you are already a psychologist. I would like to just say that I'm really proud to be part of this community and I'm so excited to see where psychology goes in the future as well. And please, guys, do not forget to like, subscribe, and follow my videos for more related content. Thank you for watching.